Hey everyone, happy Wednesday. So today's going to be a little different. I am going to go through my sketchbook and the 12 paintings that I painted last week doing Watercolor Live online. It was 3 days of intense back-to-back classes where you paint along and learn with maybe 25 different instructors. And it was an awful lot of fun. And so I'm gonna turn the camera around and go through the sketchbook and talk to you about the different things that I learned from the different teachers that it was just wonderful. I can't go on and on about it enough. So anyways, that's it. I'm gonna flip the camera around and we're gonna look at these paintings. All right, so I used this Etcher Lab sketchbook, and the beginning was just stuff that I've been doing at home, but the end I had just enough pages to have a page of notes on the left side and the painting on the right side. And so I'm just gonna flip through this. This first painting was with a teacher in Italy who was Alvaro Castagnet, and it's an Italian cityscape demo. And so I'll briefly explain. When you do Watercolor Online Live, if you haven't done it before, it's very fast-paced, and you are supplied with ahead of time the reference photos, so you can download those or have them on your iPad working alongside. And this is the second year that I've done it. And so I think every year you learn something more different and kind of progress through doing a better job each year. The first year that I did it, I didn't download any of my reference photos. I didn't have a lot of the things readily available, and I didn't do the prep work. So I would recommend, if you're doing an online class, get the list of materials, if you have reference photos or any planning that you can do ahead of time, do it. Because what I should have done is gone through here and sketched in the reference photos. What I actually did was put them in real quickly while the teacher was talking at the very beginning. And so then what I love is, in having this sketchbook, I'm not thrilled about this painting, but what's so funny is I showed it to my husband. He's like, I love that painting, right? So different people, making sure I'm in screen, like different things, and it's very sloppy, but there are elements of it that I love. Like this part I lost and messed up. I don't even know what I was doing here. But what's really neat over the 3 days is you study. All the paintings are very different, as you'll see. And so my feeling always, even when I watch a YouTube or, I watch a lot of YouTube teachers that teach and different online classes that I've taken, if I can learn one thing from each teacher, I feel like it's been a success. So what I learned going through all of these paintings was, this year, a lot of the colors were very basic colors. Like you could work with 6 or 7 basic colors. There were not a lot of specialty colors. So it was very affordable in those terms, and there weren't a lot of weird, expensive brushes you had to buy. I mean, they all recommended good paper, good paints, and good brushes, which I do believe in if you're selling your work, indisputably. But it is easier to paint on good paper and better paints, more chromatic. So at any rate, this one was it was a lot of fun. And I think things that I never do in my own painting are little figures. And so this one I had a lot of fun. First of all, the first wash, I'm learning how to do these washes. Let me see what I said. Use tape, it will look better. This teacher recommended use tape around the outside, the perimeter, because it will look better when you peel it off. And I hadn't really thought about it, but had I taped this off, I probably would have liked it a little better. It does add a nice clean look to the end. And then I make my own personal notes, like I used the wrong yellow. His yellow was a little different. I should have used yellow ochre and not what I used. But because I had not planned it ahead of time, I just kind of grabbed what was in my palette. And my personal notes to myself are, love the loose start, and I must practice more of that. This conference taught me too that a lot of the beauty of watercolor is not right when you lay down the paint. It is over the course of the next hour when things are blending together and drying and what you put over it. And so it taught me a little bit of also urgency when I'm putting in the wash in, but also patience for drying time in between. So this was my next class with Tim Oliver, and I really, really enjoyed this one. Again, what I like about taking classes online or working with other artists is painting things that I normally would not pick out to paint myself. And so the reference photo that Tim Oliver showed with this was not very attractive. The house is cute. It didn't have this big tree in here, and he added the telephone poles, but it was just the basic structure of a house. And all of these elements that he added were his own. So this particular lesson taught me that you don't need the entire picture, in front of you. You add things to complement the beauty of your painting. And so while the basics were correct, like the shadows and the shadows here, this was all put in, this was not there. The telephone poles even add he was talking about how much he likes to add these in paintings, whereas I never do, but it really did add to the feel of the painting. So again, I have all these notes about what people use. Oh, this was a portrait demonstration by one of the companies, the sponsors that was there, which that was also nice too, like Dick Blick, and there were a few sponsors, Cheap Joe's, the big paint companies all had people doing demonstrations that I didn't paint along with in here. So it exposes you to different products like watercolor ground on gesso board and different things. So that was fun. This, I'm so bummed. I love Shelley Pryor. She's a Canadian artist that I follow here on YouTube. And I was just sketching in. She did a glass painting that was just beautiful. These are notes from a different demonstration by Cheap Joe's. But I sketched in part of it and I didn't paint along because I was actually fascinated watching her paint this whole thing. So I will go back because I can watch it again for 60 days and I will do this painting, but I will sketch it in because it was very detailed. And she went through all of the things that she did, like putting it in front of a window with a white sheet behind it to light up. She will not paint glass from life because it is almost impossible, because as you move, the highlights and the prisms move. So she works from a picture, a photograph, which made complete sense to me, and I would not have thought of that. So that is what I learned from Shelley. This one was a lot of fun. This was Sebastian Toman, and this was Ireland, and he walked with his backpack like through the Irish countryside and then set up and painted this castle area. And this, again, something I wouldn't have painted. I had so much fun with this painting. So because this one I was a little more prepared, I put down the palette that we were working with, although I didn't write these down, so bummer for me. I'll have to watch that again. And his approach, also very different, very fun. His wash-in was a little different. I can't remember how. I'll have to watch it again. But this whole area was a lot of fun, this little village that he put in here. And he did a lot of scratching in here, which is something that I don't do a lot of either. So that was fun, using like your fingernail or a credit card or a ruler and scratching there. And I loved his use of, I think he had a lavender. It is lavender. His use of lavender in the shadows and on this castle, to me, was like, not mind-blowing, but very wow, like a wow moment for me. Don't judge. This is her eye is very wrong on this. And I'm not thrilled with it, as if you saw the actual picture, you would be like, wow, that does not look like that young lady. But I really enjoyed learning the colors, laying in the colors of the hair, and doing the warm and cool colors against each other, and the cool colors around these areas was fascinating to me. And also mixing red, blue, and yellow to get skin tones, which is something I didn't do. I've not done watercolor portraits ever, so that was kind of fun. Had I had it sketched in, I did a quick, like 1 minute sketch at the beginning of this, but I really had fun following along and learning the different colors in the skin tone and the hair. So that was a lot of fun. This, don't judge on this one either, but this was fun. This was using a watercolor ground to add texture, and this is supposed to be a bird. I was very much in the middle of something else while watching this, but this was Georgia Mansour, who's wonderful. She's an Australian artist, or she's from California, but she's lived in Australia for decades. And she's a delightful teacher. And I really loved, she took this watercolor ground and put it on first and then started with the tree. Now, I didn't dry this enough in between. There was some drying time that I didn't adhere to, which made this flatten out again. But I am going to attempt to do this again. It was a lot of fun. Again, something I would not have thought of doing. This was just me sketching, doing nothing. This was the next day, or even day 3, and I really had fun with this one. This is Anna Olson, who I do follow. I should know her name. I watch her videos on YouTube, and she's delightful. Emily Olson, her sister is Anna, the oil painter. Emily Olson, who does a lot of wonderful videos on YouTube. This is her puppy. And again, this doesn't look like her puppy. This looks like an old dog because I had the face shape wrong. But my goal in taking these classes is not to emulate the exact something that somebody else does. I'm very happy with the fact that you can tell this is a dog, and I'm very happy with the fur and the colors and the learning process that I went through doing this. So this was an awful lot of fun. Love his little ears, and it was just fun going through this painting. This one, surprised me the most. This is one of my favorites, probably my favorite. Maybe Laguna Beach is up there, that's back here, but this is a spot in Norway, and this was Bjorn Bergstrom, I believe. Bjorn Bergstrom, and he was amazing. His whole thing when he was going through his lesson was to embrace blooms. And these are, he does a lot of laid in the color, and then he sprayed it with a water bottle and said, when I was first learning how to do watercolor, I was told blooms are your enemy. And he said, I embrace blooms. And I'll tell you what, the paintings that he showed that he did, Bjorn Bergstrom, the paintings that he showed of his own, that he produced, were incredible. And they were obvious blooms that you would not want to have in your paintings, that just added this spectacular thing to his paintings. So it was delightful following along with him. And, I love these loose clouds in the background, and I discovered that I love painting mountains. Now, I used to live near Lake Tahoe, or an hour away from Lake Tahoe, and I do love the mountains. I didn't realize so much that I love painting mountains. And then, just following through with the process with him, splattering some of this red in here, something I wouldn't have done. I just enjoyed the heck out of this painting. So this is an area that I tend to will plan to lean into a little bit and work on a little bit more in my future watercolor practice. So that was a great deal of fun. Next painting, I should have these in order so I can tell you everybody's name. Frank Eber, this is Figure in the Landscape demo. Something else I would have zero interest in painting, like if somebody went through a pile of photos and said, pick something to paint. This would not be it. But I enjoyed the heck out of this. It was really fun. Again, I had a lot of fun doing the figures in the painting, putting in these little cars that were driving me crazy when I did them. But looking at it now, I'm like, wow, that's really cool. I really like that. I like the suggested buildings in the background. I had fun with this. It was just really fun. So it takes you out of your zone. Another one of my favorite painters, Sandra Stroshine, who I believe lives in Michigan. And I've loved her work for years online. I've seen her. I think we've been Facebook friends for years, and just followed her stuff and thought, wow, there's a vibrancy to it and a beauty. And so this is painting that, making sure it's in camera, she took while out on a boat with her sons, I believe. I just really love it. And I enjoyed it. And we have a lot of snow around here, and I love painting snow. So I kind of look at when you take a class online or you follow a video, you're not wanting to emulate exactly what that person did because they've already done that. You are putting your own fingerprint on your art when you do it. But the way I look at taking classes like this is it's like a cookbook, a family cookbook, where the different colors, somebody shows you, I use this color and this color and this color, and you go, oh, that's the secret ingredient. That's the something that my painting, I'm looking to do in my painting, and I just don't know the recipe. And so I kind of look at this kind of like recipe sharing, and then you take your fingerprint or your signature and you make it yours. But it's just incredibly fun to watch these different teachers and the different colors that they love and the different look that you get with these different colors. And I just love this painting. I was really happy with it. So next, I skipped a page. I'm not sure what happened there. Okay, this one, when I ran my gallery, my gig was still life. I started doing landscapes about halfway through, but still life I understand and enjoy. And this was a bird on a Pyrex glass with tomatoes, and I wasn't able to follow the whole class. I'm going to go back and do it. Again, something I probably wouldn't have painted, and I didn't follow the whole thing. I had to leave part way, but it was really fun and a totally different composition than I ever would have done. Last one, this is fun. This guy was a Pixar artist, and I used to live in Mission Viejo, which was about 20 minutes from Laguna Beach. His name, and this is Laguna Beach, his name was Harsh Agrawal, and he has done Pixar work and Disney work, Disney artist taught. And so this, to me, was so much fun because I love Laguna Beach and the area. And it was just interesting to see what he did in like just even rounding this corner instead of it originally was just a street and boring. And so he said, I'm going to put a figure here and turn this, and made a huge difference in the painting. This again was a very quick, I was watching and painting, which is hard to do, listening to the demonstration and painting along, but I'm really happy with it. And again, from the first artist, I was really glad learning, taping it off made it much more pleasant for me. This last one I didn't finish. I'd like to go back and watch it. This is a plant in a watering thing. And I just, I said what wasn't crazy about this demo because it was too much sped up. The beginning was very sped up. But I would like to go back and finish that. So that's it. That is the entire, all of the paintings that I did during that class. And I wanted to share it with you because I think that it's really good to stretch your limits as an artist and paint things, you know, as you're watching. You don't have to go out and spend a bunch of money on a workshop. You can pick a YouTube artist that you're like, that's really not my vibe. That's not something that I would normally paint. But you learn a lot about yourself and your process and things that you like and don't like. And you will be surprised by the things that you enjoy painting that you didn't think you'd enjoy painting. So that's it for today. Happy painting, and I'll be back on Monday. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and go Eagles. I hope there's not a lot of Chiefs fans out there. That's it. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.